Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Risk of Rain 2 reaction. Today we have one that's not by Chris, which is very weird to me because I did not know that Chris isn't apparently working on the game anymore. I figured that out after I read that this one is by Stavros Markonis, and I'm like, who? And why? And where's Chris? I mean, Chris is a part of this, but I was like, what's going on with that? So I looked into it and found out that Chris is just doing other things, which is totally fucking chill by me. So I'm just going to be listening to what this is and seeing kind of what maybe the new generation of Risk of Rain music is going to sound like. So as per the request from my executive producer Exotic, I'm going to be listening to this today, and without further ado, let's go! I feel like I'm going to miss stuff in this. If only because if this is a song that's supposed to be like kind of like passing the torch of sorts, I'm probably gonna miss a lot of references because I don't know the themes that well. Don't hate me. Starting off on a very good foot here, though. Really like those percussion accents on there. So far, it's sounding exactly as I expected it to. I feel like you might have gotten some of the synth patches that Chris uses as part of the handoff. If not, he did an amazing job at rebuilding these. I'm also not sure what capacity Chris and Orestis are in this. Like if it's a full collaboration or what. And you can really tell that Stavros has experience. Ooh, I was gonna say in film. We just got something a little bit more rocky. Hello. Stavros doing his thing. Wait a minute. That broken kick pattern is tasty, dude. Oh, man. Also, that distorted bass. It's probably more of an overdrive. Oh. Maybe I was wrong about the film experience. Unless he's just getting fancy with it for the sake of having some fun. He's just so good at the atmospheric stuff as well. I guess a lot of composers have to be a generalist, so... I really like that synth. It's soft. Very spacey. Very theremin. Oh God, this riff is fucking awesome. really having fun with that, the drum patterning too. Very syncopated, basically everywhere. Hi-hat's a little bit different. With how well these drums are written, I wonder if Stavros isn't a drummer. He could just be really good at his job, but it's such a tasty groove. It's such a good pocket, even despite the fanciness. Usually you don't associate a pocket with complexity, but it was so consistent and so fun. That's really fucking good. Okay, if this was supposed to be like a handoff, a torch pass, he fucking nailed it. I have no concerns hearing anything from this soundtrack going forward now. Of course, mind you, I'm also not a player of Risk of Rain. I've just heard a lot of the soundtrack at this point, and I've enjoyed every second of it. But man, Stavros has left a mark. If that's what we can expect from the creativity and the flexibility of his work, I'm still pretty confident that he might be a film composer that's just doing this as like a side thing because of the atmosphere and the density there. But then again, once it kicked into that like more like modern, almost proggy sort of sound that it had with the guitars and the drums, especially, God, the patterns on those drums, it was so fun. I usually don't glaze drums that hard. I mean, I do have my biases, but there are times where the drums are written so phenomenally well that you gotta wonder if the composer isn't a drummer. Like, of course, as I said, if you're a composer, you should be a generalist. If you can't play piano, you've got to be able to play guitar. You have to have some sort of knowledge in some melodic instrument in order to make those sorts of changes and creative decisions actually work. Because if you don't know how those instruments actually work, the likelihood of you pulling it off is not high, you know? So it's stuff like that with drums for me, where it's like I hear a pattern and I'm like, okay, I can see that there is knowledge of the kit here. Like, they understand where things would make sense. The recording of it, or in this case, I'm assuming that they're programmed, sounded like a very high quality recording of a drum part. It was a little too consistent, and that's one of the giveaways for stuff that's programmed drums. But at the same time, you can tell that the patterns were coming from a place of knowledge of where the kit goes, how the hands work behind the kit, even down to just understanding that you only have 2 feet and 2 arms. There are so many composers and so many songs out there that overcomplicate that aspect, especially with the kit, because, oh, more percussion's cool. And yes, you can layer more percussion. That's not what I'm saying. The problem is when there's a kit and it sounds like there's 2 people playing it, it doesn't really make sense, and it makes me go, what the hell? Layering stuff like cymbals, I'm not picky about, because that doesn't matter. Just making one cymbal sound like there's multiple cymbals hitting at the same time, that's fine, you know? That's a different argument. What I'm saying is more stuff like fills don't make sense because your right arm cannot be both on the right side and left side of the kit at the same time, because the snare, the first tom, and the floor tom are all hit at the same time. That doesn't make sense. That's what I'm talking about. But this clearly has understanding of the mechanics of a drummer, and I love that. I always appreciate that. It immediately gives me respect for the composers when they have that knowledge. And again, this could be a recording from somebody too. He could have hired somebody if he's not. I know a lot of people who do that. Adam Gubman for Arknights does that, for example. There's plenty of people who take that route and want actual musicians to play on their songs because they know that that part of the process, having musicians join them on the journey, me, helps evolve a song to a point beyond what they're capable of doing. If you don't know how to play an instrument, get somebody who does. It's as simple as that. If you don't know what you're doing there, at least be conservative with your choices on there and don't get too brave, because then it'll probably sound like ass to somebody who does know and sour the opinions of your composition. So that is exactly why Stavros did an amazing job with this song, is that the entire way through, all the synths and everything, they made sense, they felt great. I did check the description and saw that Chris and Orestis both had separate sections of the song where their lead synth was what was their part of the song, so now that makes sense. So they just basically had a solo on a song that is otherwise Stavros's, and that totally makes sense. Just to be like, hey, want to feature on this? You're a big part of the game. It would be nice if you came back for just a moment, just to share your love, you know, kind of as a nod to the fan base. I always appreciate that too. I don't know how soon this song came out after Chris's decision to focus on other works. I have no clue, but I also like that that's just a thing that he's willing to do. It's like, sure, I'll pop back on. Why not? You know, do a little bit of lead, do a little bit of a solo. Sure. I appreciate that when artists are just open to those sorts of choices and don't want to burn the bridges with something that is such a big part of their career, especially with Chris on this game. I'm so hoping he finds all the success in the world doing whatever he wants after this game, but I'm also really happy that he's willing to come back as kind of a little bit of fan service, if anything else. But man, Stavros, like I said, I have no qualms, no fears about the soundtrack going forward. If I don't hear any more from Chris, which I probably will, I haven't heard all of their songs by far. I've only heard a few in the grand scheme of things, so I'm sure I'll hear more Chris eventually. But just knowing that their sound isn't gone and that they're sharing those ideas and those influences and kind of blending them all together and making this new sound, which is definitely different, but not worse. And that's always the fear when you change hands like this, in especially the soundtrack. The same thing happened with like Genshin Impact when Yu Ping Chen left. It's like, oh, are we gonna get the same sound? No, you're not. But there are plenty of brilliant musicians out there who are going to do their best in order to fill those shoes as appropriately as they can, while also bringing a little bit of themselves. And I think that's exactly what Stavros is doing here. Brilliant composition, amazing mixing. I have no arguments over any of the production on this one. It's just fucking solid. So congratulations to Stavros for stepping into these shoes, and they're big shoes to fill, but man, did he ever fucking fill them. Potentially then some. It's only the first song I've heard. There's so much more potential for this to get even better. So really fucking good job out there, and I'm hoping to hear more. But I think that'll be about it for this one, so thank you all so very much for watching. Thank you, Exotic, for putting this into the queue and introducing me to somebody who might become one of my new favorite video game composers, and maybe film composers. Really just depends. I know that Chris does some film stuff. I'm not sure what Stavros is. I did not look into that, so maybe he is into film stuff, and maybe this is just a thing. I'm just assuming here. I mean, there's just something so filmic about this one. Anyway, if you have another song from Risk of Rain you want me to get to, drop it in the comments below, and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if, like Exotic did, you want to guarantee that I listen to something, you can always go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships. There's a tier that will force me to listen to whatever you want. Doesn't matter what it's from, who it's by, if it's good or bad, none of that matters. That's why it's a guarantee. But if you don't want to do any of that and you just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!